How I started my first business with limited resources. Starting a business has always been one of the most exciting, yet daunting, endeavors anyone can take on. For me, the journey to entrepreneurship began with a lot of passion, creativity, and an incredibly tight budget. While I didn't have much in the way of financial resources, I learned that resourcefulness, determination, and strategic thinking could take me much further than I initially imagined. Here's how I started my first business with limited resources and turned it into a success story. Identifying my passion and a niche. The first step was identifying something I was genuinely passionate about. For me, it was insert specific interest or skill, such as designing, writing, consulting, or creating handmade goods. I realized that tapping into this passion would not only make the journey enjoyable but also allow me to leverage my existing skills. Next, I focused on finding a niche. I didn't have the means to compete with established giants in my industry, so I found a smaller, underserved market segment where I could stand out. This helped me differentiate my brand early on and made it easier to attract my first customers. Leveraging free and low-cost tools. One of the biggest challenges of starting a business with limited resources is minimizing costs without compromising on quality. Thankfully, the internet offers an abundance of free and affordable tools that made my entrepreneurial dream possible. Here are a few I used. Website builders. Platforms like Wix and WordPress allowed me to create a professional-looking website for a fraction of the cost of hiring a developer. Marketing tools. Social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook became my primary marketing channels. With consistency and creativity, I was able to grow an audience organically. Design tools. Canva became my go-to for creating marketing materials and branding elements without needing a graphic designer. Productivity apps. Tools like Trello and Google Workspace helped me stay organized and collaborate effectively. Bootstrapping with what I had. Since I didn't have much capital to invest up front, I started small. Instead of renting an office, I worked out of my living room. Rather than buying expensive equipment or inventory, I focused on creating prototypes and offering pre-orders. This allowed me to gauge interest and secure funding directly from my customers. I also relied on sweat equity, putting in long hours to handle as much of the work as possible myself. From designing my logo to writing my first marketing emails, I wore many hats in the early days. While it was exhausting, it taught me valuable skills and kept expenses low. Building a network, I quickly realized that I didn't have to do everything alone. Networking became one of my greatest assets. I attended free community events, joined online forums, and connected with other entrepreneurs on LinkedIn. Through these interactions, I found mentors, collaborators, and even some of my first clients. Additionally, I wasn't shy about asking for help. Friends and family offered their support in various ways, whether it was lending equipment, providing feedback, or spreading the word about my business. Focusing on customer value. From the very beginning, I prioritized delivering value to my customers. I listened to their feedback, went the extra mile to exceed their expectations, and built strong relationships. This approach not only helped me retain customers, but also led to word-of-mouth referrals, which became one of the most powerful and cost-effective marketing tools for my business. Overcoming self-doubt. Starting with limited resources also meant dealing with a fair share of self-doubt. There were moments when I questioned whether I had what it took to succeed. However, I reminded myself that every successful entrepreneur started somewhere, and setbacks were part of the process. I focused on celebrating small wins and staying committed to my long-term vision. Expanding strategically. Once my business gained traction, I reinvested my profits into growth. I upgraded my equipment, expanded my product or service offerings, and outsourced tasks I could no longer manage alone. By taking a step-by-step approach, I was able to scale without taking on significant financial risks. I also started leveraging partnerships with other small businesses. By collaborating on promotions, events, or bundled offerings, I was able to reach a wider audience without spending heavily on advertising. Lessons learned. Looking back, here are some of the most important lessons I learned. Start where you are. You don't need to have everything figured out or a large amount of capital to begin. Use what you have and grow from there. Be resourceful. Think creatively about how to solve problems and find affordable alternatives. Prioritize relationships. Building a strong network and focusing on your customers can open doors you didn't even know existed. Embrace imperfection. Your first version of your business doesn't have to be perfect. Launching is more important than waiting for everything to be just right. Stay resilient. Challenges and failures are inevitable, but how you respond to them will define your success. Final thoughts: starting my first business with limited resources was one of the most challenging experiences of my life, but it was also the most rewarding. It taught me that you don't need deep pockets to succeed, just a willingness to adapt, learn, and work hard. If you're dreaming of starting your own business but feel held back by a lack of resources, remember, the best resource you have is yourself. Start small, stay focused, and trust in your ability to make it happen. Success isn't about how much you start with, it's about how much you're willing to give. Take that first step today. You'll be amazed at how far you can go.